from Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
A lovely afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us on the news at noon on 24 News Radio and Television. My name is Grace Nwafo. The Federation Allocation Committee (FAAC) has shared a 1.818 trillion naira among the federal, state, and local government as revenue generated in G5, the highest monthly allocation so far this year. The amount was disclosed in a communique after the FAAC meeting in Abuja for July 2025. The statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Bawa Mokwa, confirmed that the latest distribution marks a significant rise from the previous 5 months. And from Ogun State, the International Council for Ifa Religion (ICIR) has announced its intention to sue the Ogun State government and the family of the late Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Adetona, violating established legal and traditional rights concerning the burial of a traditional ruler in the state. Oba Adetona, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 91, was interred according to Islamic rites. The ICIR expressed its determination to address what it described as an anomaly and a departure from the traditional practices of the Yoruba people regarding the final respect and rights owed to a deceased king. The council made this known during a press conference addressed by its president, Dr. Fayemi Fakayode, and the legal representative, Barrister Ifashola Weodu. In his remarks, Fakayode referenced a prior judicial ruling that affirmed the necessity of adhering to Yoruba customs and traditions for the burial of traditional rulers, as opposed to following foreign religious practices such as Islam and Christianity. He called Oshubo confraternity, which is responsible for performing the final rite for the Awujale for their peaceful conduct, despite being barred from fulfilling their traditional duties. The Kaduna State Police Command has stopped a planned rally of supporters of the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, scheduled to hold in honor of his birthday in the state. It warns to take necessary legal actions against any individual or group found violating this directive. The command said that intelligence information at its disposal revealed that certain criminal elements are applying to infiltrate and hijack the proposed rally, using it as a platform to cause disruption, incite violence, and disturb the prevailing public peace in the state. In a statement by its public relations officer, DSP Mansur Hassan, the command said that all forms of political rallies and public gatherings of a political nature in Kaduna State remain suspended across the state until the official commencement date of this, as stipulated by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The Enugu State Police Command has rescued 6 stolen and trafficked children in multiple coordinated operations between June 30 and July 16, 2025. The command also arrested 10 suspects involved in both local and transnational child trafficking networks. The command spokesperson, SP Daniel Ndukwe, in a statement said the significant breakthroughs were part of the command's effort to combat child theft and trafficking in the state. Among the rescued children are a 1-year and 6-month-old male child and a 14-year-old girl trafficked to Ghana. The Commissioner P. Maman Giwa commended the operatives' professionalism and swift responses, cautioning parents and guardians to be watchful and protect their children. The command reaffirmed its commitment to fighting crimes and urged the public to provide to aid the fight against child trafficking. The Uyo Zonal Directorate of the Financial Crimes Commission has busted a cybercrime training center in Umuahia, Abia State, arresting 23 suspected internet fraudsters, including 8 undergoing training. The anti-graft agency said the center, known as Yahoo Hustle Kingdom, was located inside the Dovco Palace building behind Government College Umuahia and made arrests of 8 suspected trainees and undergoing training and 15 others. And from the political space, the Social Democratic Party SDP has reaffirmed Alhaji Shehu Musa Gabam as ultimate national chairman and addressed internal conflicts and challenges claims made Olu Agunloye. The Media Aid's national chairman, Lawal Ibrahim, in a statement revealed that some individuals, including Agunloye, had peddled misinformation about the party in an attempt to divide the party. The Media Aid further noted that the Alhaji Shehu Musa Gabam is the party's only national chairman recognized by the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to him, According to Ibrahim, the party still stands firm, undivided, and has achieved milestones despite Agunloye's attempt at destabilizing its structure. Speaking further on Agunloye's attempt at dividing the party, the media aide noted that he had constituted an investigative panel, a move he described as illegitimate and unlawful, an act of desperation and a smokescreen designed to distract from his lack of credibility. He added that the party is not a part of any coalition. The G20 finance ministers has emphasized that central banks must remain independent after months of escalating attacks by US President Donald Trump on Federal Reserve boss Jerome Powell. It was the first communique under South Africa's G20 presidency and marked a rare consensus reached by a bloc jolted by the drastic trade policies of its richest member, the United States. Trump has repeatedly lashed out at Powell for not lowering interest rates more quickly. Trump charges that the central bank could help save the country's debt servicing cost by cutting rates from the current range, which is between 4.25% and 4.50%. The U.S. Central Bank has meanwhile adopted a wait-and-see attitude to cutting rates, holding them steady as it continues its plan to bring inflation to the bank's long-term target of 2%. This is still the news at noon on 24 News Radio. More stories from the foreign scene and the world of sports will come your way after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome to 24 News Radio and Television, your trusted companion for real-time updates, expert analysis, and compelling conversations. We bring the world closer to you with clear, credible, and concise information at every moment. With our seasoned reporters and sharp broadcasters, we dig deep to uncover the facts behind the headlines from your neighborhood to the global stage. Stay connected with 24 News Radio and Television for breaking news and current happenings across the globe. 24 News Radio and Television.
Glad to know that you're still there if you're just joining us. This is the news at noon on 24 News Radio and Television. Over now to the foreign scene. Rwanda-backed M23 rebels are expected to agree to an immediate ceasefire by the Democratic Republic of Congo government in Qatar later today. According to an official with knowledge of the negotiation, the ceasefire forms part of a declaration of principles to be signed by the warring parties after 3 months of talks in the Gulf Emirates. The M23 armed group, which seized vast swathes of mineral-rich territory in eastern DRC in the lightning offensives in January and February, had insisted on seeking its own ceasefire deal with Kinshasa after its Rwandan allies signed a peace agreement in Washington last. Eastern DRC has been racked by conflict for more than 3 decades, creating a humanitarian crisis and forcing hundreds of thousands of people from their homes. Thousands of people were killed in the M23 offensive earlier this year, which saw the rebels capture the key provincial capitals and Bukavu. The front lines have stabilized since February, but fighting still breaks out regularly between the M23 and multiple pro-government militias. The South Korean ex-president Yoon Suk Yeol has been indicted for abuse of power over his declaration of martial law as investigators widened an insurrection probe. Yoon plunged South Korea into a political crisis situation when he sought to subvert civilian rule on December 3, sending troops to parliament in a bid to prevent lawmakers voting down a declaration of martial law. He became the first sitting president in the country to be taken into custody when he was detained in January after resisting arrest for weeks, using his presidential security details to thwart investigators. He was released on procedural grounds in March, even as his trial on insurrection charges continued. Last week, he was detained again after an arrest warrant was issued over concerns he might destroy evidence in the case. The ex-president is being held solitary in a cell which has a fan but no air conditioning as a heat wave grips South Korea. And still from South Korea, the National Fire Agency says landslide torrential rain has killed at least 10 in South Korea. Officials said 3 people were also missing after the landslide buried 2 houses in a village in southern Secheon County as heavy rain continued to pound the country. The Ministry of Interior and Safety also confirmed that at least 4 people have been killed in rain-related accidents and more than 7,000 forced to evacuate their homes. And from India, lightning strikes during monsoon storms in eastern India this week has killed at least 33 people and injured dozens. The State Disaster Management Department said the deaths in Bihar occurred during fierce storms between Wednesday and Thursday, with the victims mostly farmers and laborers working in the open. Bihar State Disaster Management Minister Vijay Kumar Mandal told newsmen that officials in vulnerable districts had been directed to create awareness to take precautionary steps following an alert on lightning. The state government has also announced compensation of 4 million rupees to the families of those killed by lightning. And from Colombia, report says at least 18 miners were trapped following a serious accident at a gold mine in northwest Colombia. The Ministry of Mines and Energy said the miners are presumed alive without detailing the cause of the incident. Minister Edwin Palmer said on X that all emergency protocols had been activated to locate them. A representative of a local miners association, Yali Erasmo Marine, told newsmen that a mechanical failure caused a collapse of a structure designed to prevent landslides, blocking the mine's main exit. The mayor of Remedios claimed in a message sent to the government that it appears the mine was illegally exploited. Images released by the state-run National Mining Agency showed rescuers with flashlights during their search effort. And from Cuba, Cuba has scrapped the maximum age limit of 60 to its presidential candidate as part of a constitutional reform approved by Parliament. The communists ruled island restriction of 2 5-year presidential terms and minimum age of 35 for candidates were left unchanged. The measure, approved by the Council of State, imposes no age limits on people in full exercise of their physical and mental faculties. Former President Raul Castro, who at the age 94 still holds a seat in the assembly, was the first to vote for the reform that will be on the books for the 2028 presidential elections. Cuba's current president, 65 years old Miguel Diaz-Canel, was elected in 2018, then re-elected in 2023. The inclusion of term and age limit in the 2019 constitution marked a radical shift after the 6 decades in which Fidel Castro and his brother Raul were in power. The nation of nearly 10 million people is suffering its worst economic crisis in 3 decades, with shortage of all kinds of supplies, power outages, and unprecedented immigration. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres Friday paid a heartfelt tribute to Nigeria's late former president, Muhammadu Buhari, and personally conveyed the UN solidarity with the government and people of Nigeria. Guterres, during his visit to Nigeria House in New York, described Buhari as a leader whose unwavering dedication to Nigeria, Africa, and global cooperation will stand as his enduring legacy. The UN chief reflected on his working relationship with Buhari and praised his lifetime of service. And from the world of sport, Nigeria Super Falcons stormed the semi-finals of the ongoing 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations (WAFCON) with an emphatic 5-0 victory over Zambia Casablanca. The Copper Queens were tipped to challenge the 9-time champions, but it was one-way traffic as the Super Falcons put on a ruthless display of power and precision, made an instant impact when centre-back Osinachi Ohale rose unmarked to head home a free kick just 2 minutes into the match, leaving Zambia goalkeeper Petronella Musolo helpless. Zambia had a golden opportunity to pull level on the half-hour mark, but Grace Chanda squandered her chance. Minutes later, Esther Okoronkwo punished them with a well-taken strike to double Nigeria's lead. On the brink of half-time, Chinwendu Ihezuo seized on defensive confusion to calmly slow Nigeria's third, all but sealing the contest before the break. Oluwatosin Demehin added a fourth with a header from yet another expertly delivered free kick midway through the second half, and substitute Folashade completed the route in an added time with a clinical finish. With this commanding win, Nigeria remained the only team yet to concede a goal at the tournament. The Super Falcons will now face the winner between the defending champions South Africa or Senegal in Tuesday's final. Other quarterfinal game this evening is between Algeria and Ghana. And that is a wrap on the news at noon on 24 News Radio and Television. Do stay tuned for more programs will come your way. My name is Grace Mwafo. Have a lovely afternoon.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, news and information that will make your day. We are